Hey everyone, this lesson is on transversals. Now, transversal kind of sounds like a scary word, but basically a transversal is just a line that's going to cut through two or more other lines. So if I have a line here and here, a transversal is just a line that's going to cut through both of them. In the next lesson, you'll learn about transversals that cut through parallel lines, but for this one, we're just going to talk about anytime it cuts through two lines. So if we look down here, we're going to use this example for all of these vocab words up here. So it's going to be really important for you to draw this diagram if you need to pause the video so that you can have this on your notes to go with the vocab words. So what I have here is I have line D and line E, and they are cut by the transversal T. So first vocab word is corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are angles that are located in the same spot along the transversal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight along the transversal because this is the important part. And when I do that, I can see I have two chunks. I have these angles here, 1, 2, 8, and 7. And then I have the angles 3, 4, 6, and 5. So corresponding angles means if I'm looking at it like this, if I have my top left angle is angle 1, angle 1 corresponds with the top left of the second set. So it corresponds with angle 3. Angle 2 is on the top right of the transversal. So the corresponding angle on the top right over here would be angle 4. So angle 2 and angle 4. Then I have angle 7, which is on the bottom right of the transversal. So that means angle 5 is also on the bottom right. So that means that they also are corresponding angles. And then the last pair down here on the bottom left is angle 8. And then here is angle 6. So our last pair is angle 8 and angle 6. So corresponding means when I draw in my transversal, if I'm looking at it, whatever's in the top left in both spots is going to correspond. And same with all of the others. If there was a third line drawn over here, maybe one like this, and we named them 9, 10, 11, and 12, 9 would then correspond with 3 and 1. 10 would correspond with 4 and 2 because it's still in the top left and the top right. So it doesn't matter how many lines it cuts through, corresponding are always going to be in that same spot. So now let's look at alternate exterior. I'm going to re-highlight my transversal here. And alternate exterior angles are angles that are opposite each other on the outside of the cut line. So what that means is I'm only looking outside the cut line. So basically out here is the outside. And then in here, in between the lines, is the inside. So if we're talking alternate exterior angles, those are going to be angles on opposite sides of the transversal on the outside. So for example, angle 1 is on the outside. And then the alternate exterior angle here would be angle 5. So angle 1 and angle 5, because they're opposite each other on the outside of the transversal. So that means our other pair here is going to be angle 4 and angle 8, because they're on the outside of the transversal, opposite sides. So that means insides means between the two lines on opposite sides. So that means if this is angle 2, on the opposite side of the transversal is angle 6. And then the last pair for alternate interior angles is angle 3 and angle 7. So this set of vocab words is super important for this lesson and the next one. If you're having trouble identifying the alternate exterior and alternate interior now, let me know so we can give you some extra practice, because to be successful on this lesson and the next lesson, you need to know those. So now we're just going to look at one example problem in this lesson. They want us to find the measure of angle 1. So first thing, go ahead, pause the video, and copy this diagram down onto your paper. You always want to copy the diagrams on your paper so that you can write on them and mark them. So I need to find this angle. And right away I can see angle 1 and the 8x plus 7 are vertical angles. So from our first lesson, vertical is across from, and that means that they are both going to be the same. So if I want to figure out angle 1, that means first I have to figure out the 8x plus 7. But there's that pesky x in there. So that means I have to figure out x. And there's nothing down here to help me with that. But if I go up here, I can see that I have two adjacent angles that make up a line, so I know that together they equal 180 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve for x up here. So we're going to write an equation, 15x minus 3 plus 63 equals 180 degrees. Now I don't have any other x's to combine, so we can leave that alone. So that's 15x. And then I look, I have a minus 3 plus 63. So together that makes plus 60. And all together that equals 180. Now before we can get to the x, we got to get rid of this extra stuff. So since it says plus 60, we do the opposite and subtract 60. So that gives me 15x equals 120. And then we divide both sides by 15. And using a calculator, we do 120 divided by 15. And that gives us x is equal to 8. So remember, that's not our final answer. We need to go ahead now and go over here and say 8 times 8 plus 7. So 8 times 8 is 64, plus 7 is 71. So this angle equals 71 degrees, and since they are vertical, that means they're the same. So angle 1 also equals 71 degrees. So all the problems in this section are going to use your same vocab words from lesson 1. You need to know your supplementary angles and your vertical angles. And then you'll do your basic algebra to solve for x and then plug it in. So go ahead and get working on this section and let me know if you need any help.